pochi minuti, 5 minuti, con le 3 finali D in apertura di giornata, 2 senza maschile, doppio maschile, singolo maschile, questa è l'apertura fra pochi minuti.
So welcome again from the tower. We are underway for day 2 of World Cup Varese, kicking things off here with the D final in the men's pair. These crews racing for positions 20 to 23 overall, having raced in the heats earlier on yesterday and now progressing on to the D final. And just in these boats here, centre of the course, the 2 crews in lane 2, Australia 2 and Austria, both coming 5th out of their races. And then on the outside lanes, Japan and Hong Kong, China, finishing 6th in their races. The fastest crew, the Australian crew, Win Pope and Batruni, they were the 2 fastest in the men's pair, so it'll be interesting to see how they go. And they have indeed taken the lead coming into the first few hundred metres, still up at 39 strokes per minute. They're the fastest boat out on the water, and they're opening up now just about a 5-metre lead to their inside track crew from Austria. They're the 1 and 2, a little bit further back then to Japan, staying in touch with an overlap with Austria at the moment. And in 4th place, just a little bit off the pace already, it is the crew from Hong Kong, China. So they're coming through 500, looking good so far to getting us underway and kick-starting the first race of the day.
È partita la prima gara della giornata, la finale D del 2 senza maschile. Ricordiamo che con il nuovo sistema di progressione non ci sono i recuperi e quindi le imbarcazioni che non hanno superato lo sbarramento delle eliminatorie e dei migliori tempi si trovano quindi oggi ad affrontare la finale D dal 19esimo al 22esimo posto. L'Australia è partita forte, cerca di fare l'andatura, rimane attaccata alla formazione dell'Austria, ha una imbarcazione luce in questo momento di distanza, insiste l'Australia per cercare di continuare a mantenere la testa di questa finale D.
So it's going with form so far, and they're coming into view for the 1,000 metre mark. And Tim, it looks like the fastest crew coming out of the races yesterday, Australia leading it.
It is indeed the green and gold from Australia leading this D final. We're looking out of the window, and it looks a solid pair. That combination of Win Pope and Batruni, both from Melbourne University Boat Club, and they having made their debut at senior level last year. They look to progress on and build some more experience into the LA 2028 campaign, and they've gone off the start like a rocket, opening up a clear water lead, still ahead of Austria in lane number 3, right beside them, and going with them is the pair from Japan of Takumi and Shunsuke in the bow seat of that Japanese pair. And trailing at the moment is the crew from Hong Kong, China, with Tow and Lam. They are about clear water down on the leading 3 crews, but the Aussies, well familiar with Varese waters, cross the 1,000-metre mark first. 2 lengths of clear water up on Austria, who are a quarter of a length ahead of Japan at the moment.
Il verde e l'oro si riconfermano a comando di questa gara, passando ai 1.000 metri con molto distacco dalle altre imbarcazioni, che comunque bisogna vedere come reagiscono nei secondi 1.000 metri. Stanno comunque disputando una finale D, quindi si parla di giocarsi dal 20esimo al 23esimo posto, ma è comunque sempre un'ottima prova per ogni equipaggio, per testarsi, anche perché si dice sempre che il miglior allenamento è la gara, quindi può essere comunque un'ottima opportunità per affinare la tecnica, affinare la propria strategia. In seconda posizione possiamo trovare il Giappone, che però sta combattendo anche con l'Austria per la seconda e terza posizione di questa finale. Un po' più attardato è invece l'equipaggio di Hong Kong, Cina.
So it's still Australia in the lead. Win Pope racing in that bow seat closest to the finish tower, and strokeman Charles Bertoni is setting a very easy pace to follow. They're still at 35 strokes a minute, looking very powerful out in front. The higher rating crew from Austria right beside them at almost 40 strokes a minute is trying to keep within contact, but it's a decent clear water margin coming into the final few meters before they will start sprinting. So quality performance there from the Aussies. Lane 2 still ahead of Austria, lane 3, then Japan and Hong Kong, China. So not much changing at the moment as they come into the final 500 meters to go. It's a decent time by the Australians, by the way. They opened in 1:35 and they managed to keep a very steady pace through the middle kilometer. So I'm curious to see what they can do in the final 500, Richie. So I'll throw it back to you.
Just coming into our view here down the last quarter of the race to see the Australians leading it out, but it's a real battle now between the crews from Austria in second place and Japan. The Japanese crew have done really well to stick with the Austrians in the last 500, and they're matching each other at rates 39-40 strokes per minute as they come into the last quarter of the race here. So it's going to be a race for positions 21 and 22 between the two of them, with Hong Kong, China back in fourth place.
Continua l'azione di Winnie Pope Patronet, la formazione australiana che ha preso la testa sin dall'inizio di questa finale D, ha provato l'Austria a mantenere il contatto, poi si è vista addirittura risucchiata dall'equipaggio giapponese che ha tentato un sorpasso per la seconda posizione a circa metà percorso, ma l'Austria rimane agganciata al secondo posto. Adesso paga un pochino il Giappone, quindi vediamo Australia, Austria, Giappone e Hong Kong, China.
So well into the last 100 metres here, and in full control centre of the course, the Australian crew of Hamish Wynne Pope and Charles Batruni leading it out here, Clearwater, and it really is a tussle for second and third. The Austrian crew just winding it up now. They came under a lot of pressure from the crew from Japan, but in the last few strokes, reaching out once more to extend a little bit of a length lead as they come in towards the finish. You just heard the Australian crew crossing the line there, taking 20th position overall ahead of the crew from Austria, taking position 21. A great race there for the Japanese crew, raced all the way down, putting pressure on the Austrian crew right towards the line, and just closing it out then, it is going to be Hong Kong, China. So the next race is already on its way down to us. It is the men's double sculls final D, and we're going to head straight up to Tim.
Yeah, they already flew past us, those three men's double sculls, with the People's Republic of China leading from the start. Going with them, Indonesia in second at the moment, and Portugal in third. So I'll hand you quickly to Alessandra.
Yeah, abbiamo tre equipaggi finale D. Abbiamo la Cina, l'Indonesia e il Portogallo che stanno contendendo questa finale. Abbiamo avuto un passaggio ai 1000 metri della Cina, seguito dall'Indonesia e subito dopo dal Portogallo. Ora si stanno avvicinando all'ultimo quarto di gara.
So great start by the People's Republic of China. They opened up a nearly 3-second lead in the first half of this race, and they are approaching 1,500 meters. And they seem to have settled in terms of speed, not really rowing further away from the other crews at the moment, but they are still underrating their competitors here in the D final. So curious to see what they can do in the final 500 meter there, Richie.
Yeah, surprised to see the People's Republic of China leading this one out. They didn't have the fastest time coming out of the heats earlier on. It was the Indonesian crew who were the fastest out of the three that were racing in the heat. So interesting to see that China have laid down the benchmark here. They're leading it out. Nice cushion of 20 metres as they come in towards the finish. And similar to the race that we saw just finishing there, is that between Indonesia and Portugal, very little between the two crews for second and third.
Insiste l'azione della formazione cinese in questa finale D del doppio maschile, che rimane davanti sin dalle prime battute fino al 3/4 di percorso, mezza lunghezza luce sull'Indonesia, la prima inseguitrice, poi seguita anche dal Portogallo, e cerca adesso nel rush finale la Cina di incrementare il proprio vantaggio, posizioni consolidate con Cina davanti, seguita da Indonesia e Portogallo.
So all four crews up at 40 strokes per minute as they push onto the line here. Really impressive rowing from the People's Republic of China to take hold of this race off the start and dominate it down the whole way to take race to the line, looking for position 20 overall in the men's double sculls races, and a real sprint finish here between the Portuguese crew and Indonesia. Portuguese crew really on a charge now, up at 44 strokes per minute as they wind for the line. It's bow ball for bow ball, and it's going to be a photo finish. We'll have to wait for the official result there. Really exciting finish. No doubt about the winners there. 20th overall goes to the People's Republic of China in the men's double sculls. And the photo finish, just waiting for it to be confirmed on screen, between Indonesia, who were in second place. But it was the Portuguese crew, just in the last stroke or two, surged, perfectly timed, right on the line, and they take second in 21st position overall, ahead of the Indonesian crew to close out final D of the men's double sculls. Next up, it is going to be final D of the men's single sculls, and we have gone through 500 metres already. Leading it out, it's the Swedish sculler Brodke, ahead of Brazil in second place, Switzerland in third, Iraq in fourth, Norway in fifth, and Japan in sixth. So we're going to head straight up and pick up the action up the course with Tim.
Thank you so much, Richie. It's been an interesting race to watch, this race in the men's single sculls. And just a quick reminder of yesterday that the Brazilian athlete who is now racing here in this final missed a higher final by 3/100ths of a second. So that's something he wouldn't be been too pleased about, but he's here now, going all out. It is, of course, Lucas Vertijn Ferreira in lane number 4. He stormed out really quickly, but in the second 500, he had to contend with Erik Brute from Sweden, who is making this second 500 his own. And actually, the Swede has opened up almost a full length, perhaps even a bit of clear water. And on the far side, going with them, it is Bakr Al-Dulami from Iraq, who is going with these two athletes, currently sitting in third, more or less tied for third with the Swiss athlete. That's, of course, Tim Roth. And they cross across the 1,000-meter mark right about now, dead level. And it's only the Martin Helseth from Norway who is trailing the rest of the pack. So a very interesting race with Brazil and Sweden leading the dance at the moment.
Ed ecco, abbiamo appena visto passare i singolisti dalla nostra torretta e possiamo ancora vedere come stanno proseguendo con la loro gara, come stanno approcciando a questa seconda parte di gara dove la stanchezza comincia a farsi sentire. Comunque vogliono difendere la loro posizione. Troviamo in testa ancora l'atleta svedese Erik Brute, che ha passato i 1000 con 3:25, quindi quasi 2 secondi distaccato dal Brasile, che ricordiamo ieri ha fatto un'ottima gara, che per veramente un centesimo non è riuscito a passare allo step successivo, e quindi sicuramente vorrà rifarsi in questa gara. Seguito poi dall'atleta Bakr Al-Dulaimi dell'Iraq, però c'è l'atleta svizzero che sta combattendo ancora con l'atleta dell'Iraq per mantenere terza o quarta posizione, seguito poi infine dall'atleta norvegese.
So an interesting race developing, because Vertijn Ferreira of Brazil actually closing down the gap to the Erik Brute from Sweden in this third quarter. And still a fantastic race between Al-Dulami from Iraq and Tim Roth from Switzerland coming into the final 500 meters. And so it's multiple races packed inside this final D for the men's single sculls. I'll hand you straight back to Richie at the finish.
So interesting to see, as Jim was saying there, a push on in this 500 from the Brazilian sculler. He's the fastest boat out on the water, and it looks like he might be moving into the lead ahead of the sculler from Sweden, Erik Brute, who had been leading out through the first few hundred meters, now back in fifth place coming into the last quarter. So all the positions changing here, and it looks like it is Brazil leading out Iraq now, with Switzerland in third place ahead of our leaders, Sweden, early leader, back in fourth.
Nella seconda parte di gara sta pagando la condotta, la strategia dell'atleta brasiliano in questa finale D del singolo maschile, che ha visto partire molto forte la Svezia, ma ha cercato di mantenere il contatto, e dopo la boa dei 1000 metri è riuscito a sorpassarlo e prendere la testa appunto di questa finale D. L'atleta iracheno in questo momento sta cercando di uscire fuori, battaglia per il terzo posto, ma ancora la Svizzera risponde e quindi cerca di prendere la seconda posizione. Terza Iraq, quarto Svezia, che sta pagando probabilmente lo sforzo di una prima parte molto molto forte.
So everything has been shaken up in the last few hundred meters, with the lead changing. Our early leader and the fastest person out of the heats yesterday, Erik Brute of Sweden, now back in fourth place and well off the pace. And it's given the opportunity to the Brazilian sculler, Lucas Vertijn Ferreira, to move into the lead and dominate the race here, centre of the course, ahead of Al-Dulami of Iraq and Tim Roth. They're the 1, 2 and 3 as they come in. The racing here for positions 20 to 25 overall in the men's single sculls. No doubt about it, time to perfection again for Lucas in lane 4, centre of the course, in full control here, and just a real push by Tim Roth of Switzerland coming up towards the line. He might get the better of the Iraqi sculler as they come in towards the finish, and it's going to be Tim Roth, I believe, just coming in second place, taking 21st overall, ahead of Iraq towards the finish, and then ahead of the early leader Erik Butke of Sweden and Martin Helseth of Norway. So the official results there, position 20th overall in the men's single scull goes to Lucas Ferreira of Brazil. And now we're going to head down to our caffeinated cheerleader, Luca.
Hey, we back here on the grandstand. We got the Duisburg Sports Organizing Committee. They are organizing a lot of events for us this year, next year. The World Under-23s will be there next year. This year is University Games. How is the organizing committee and the preparation to this major event going?
It's really working well. So we now have the entry deadline. We have more athletes registered as expected. So really good. We just built a completely new finish tower for the event. So we are right on track for the event next month.
Well, that's exciting. You've been hosting a lot of events for paddle, canoe. Now you're moving into rowing. Am I right?
Yeah, right. So we started in 2020 with the European Under-23, and now we are going the next step with the World Under-23 next year and the World University Games this year.
Can you tell us something about next year, what we should expect next year? What's the news?
I mean, again, the completely new grandstand, new finish tower, new office building, everything has been completely built new for next year. It will be fully opened next year, partly opened this year for the World University Games, so it will be a big event next year.
Well, we are really, really excited to see the event. Please, if you didn't book your holiday yet, consider Duisburg. That could be a good way to watch rowing and enjoy the town.
Definitely. Last week of July next year. Looking forward to meet all of you there.
Thank you very much. Back to the tower now.
Grazie, Luca. So, good news. We've closed out Final Ds this morning with the 3 races we've already had. Now moving into Final C, where the positions for 14 to 19 in the next race, the women's pairs, will be decided. And coming through 500 metres, it's good news for the local crews. Italy, too, leading it out ahead of Germany just by 0.02 of a second. So, really close between those 2 pairs coming through 500. Followed then in 3rd place by Austria, Japan in 4th, and Hong Kong, China. So, we're going to head just straight up now, and I believe just in the last while we might have seen a squeeze on for the German crew, Tim, to take the lead.
Yeah, that German combination is absolutely flying into this second 500, and they're just coming into view. Malou Vollenhaupt there in the bow seat together with Antonia Labonde, and that German crew really making a move, although they were just 2/100ths of a second behind the quick starting crew from Italy in lane number 3. But they are powering through now quite decisively. Going with them is the crew from Austria, right beside them with Swoboda in the bow seat and Zahed Maya in the stroke seat. Those 2 crews really going for it here. Pushed on by that lovely little tailwind here on Lago di Varese, and the Italian crew trying to move with them. They're still in contact, and they are shaking off the crew from Japan and Hong Kong, China at the moment, approaching 1,000.
Dopo una partenza testa a testa con l'Italia, la Germania sta mantenendo la posizione di vantaggio, anche se adesso l'equipaggio dell'Austria, lo stiamo vedendo proprio in questo momento, ha appena passato e superato le atlete tedesche. L'Italia sta combattendo per mantenere questa terza posizione e sta continuando palata per palata a battere per mantenere quella posizione, seguita poi invece dal Giappone e da Hong Kong, Cina. Ora si stanno approcciando a combattere per gli ultimi 800 metri di gara, dove sicuramente la fatica si sta accumulando e bisogna anche considerare la temperatura di oggi molto calda, quindi una sfida in più per queste atlete. Sta mantenendo la prima posizione l'Austria, seguita poi dalla Germania, dall'Italia, Giappone e Hong Kong, Cina.
Where the second 500 was the domain of the German pair, the third 500 goes straight to Austria. They've really pushed on and they've opened up 3/4 of a length lead ahead of Germany, now in second position. The Italians trying to move with them, though. The gap is increasing slightly. They are producing a good speed, though, in terms of relative to the Germans, but the Austrian pair are really starting to move now. Japan and Hong Kong, China fighting for places 4 and 5, with the crew from Hong Kong, China looking a bit laboured at the moment. They're about to cross into the final 500 meters of this race, so just a minute and 45 seconds something to go for these athletes. But it is Austria's race to lose now, I'm afraid, because they are looking so solid in terms of boat speed, in terms of rhythm. It looks absolutely flawless, and they've opened up almost a length of clear water to Germany at this stage. Italy still in third, then Japan, and followed by Hong Kong, China.
So things really been shaken up in the 500 meters just coming into the last quarter of the race here. We've seen the early leaders, the Italian crew, drop all the way back to 4th place now. They're the fastest crew coming out of the heats. So we're not sure. They're not having the race that they had in the heats, that's for sure. Back in 4th place at the moment. But the Austrian crew leading it out, changing gears in the last few hundred meters to take the lead ahead of Germany and Japan. They're the 1, 2 and 3 coming in the run-in towards the finish.
Ottima la distribuzione di gara della coppia austriaca, che ha lasciato sfogare Italia prima e poi Germania nella prima metà di gara, poi ha preso la testa di questo percorso e sta cercando di involarsi verso il traguardo. L'Italia adesso sta un po' accusando forse la fatica di una partenza veramente molto veloce nei primi 500 metri, è stata risucchiata dal Giappone, deve cercare di insistere per non pagare lo scotto di una partenza molto forte. La Germania in seconda posizione sta accusando un pochino, quindi potrebbe esserci un cambio negli ultimi metri per quello che riguarda la seconda e la terza posizione. Stiamo a vedere questi equipaggi.
So similar to the earlier races that we saw, all of the action might be for second and third overall. No doubt about the leaders here in the last 500. The Austrian crew just really took it up a level, opening up clear water against the chasing packs. It was the German crew in second place coming into the last quarter. They're just about holding off the challenge, but the Japanese crew are winding up for the line here, taking it up now to 38, 39 strokes per minute. A little bit lower than the rest of the crews, but they're powering into second place. No doubt about the winners crossing the line there first. It is the crew from Austria, and then a blanket finish for second, third and fourth between the crews from Germany, Japan and Italy. And the only crew a little bit off the pace, Hong Kong, China, just coming towards the finish line now in 5th place. So the official results, that sprint finish there, Austria doing what they need to do in the last 500 to take the win ahead of Japan, who just got second place. Italy pipping Germany on third, right on the line. It's Germany 4th and Hong Kong, China 5th. So that closes out positions 14 to 19 overall in the women's pairs, with Austria taking the win. So already into the next race, which is final C of the men's pairs. They have gone through 500. And leading it out, Germany 1 ahead of USA in second, Great Britain in third, Denmark in fourth, Italy in 5th, and the German crew in 6th place, the second German crew, and they've gone through 1,000. Tim, straight up to you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Richie. It is a fantastic final here, and the racing is so tight. I mean, we have the only crew more or less off the pace is that crew from Germany 2 on the far side of the lake. They are trailing by a good length of clear water, but you could throw a blanket across the other 5 crews here, with Great Britain, the United States of America and Germany 1 going toe-to-toe here for the win. It was the American pair who were fast out of the blocks. They led, I think, or they were very close to the lead indeed at 1,000. But at that moment, Great Britain made a bit of a push and have now established themselves ahead of the pack. But the USA is just trailing by 4 meters, and then it's Germany 1 in third.
Anche se la Germania 1 e gli Stati Uniti hanno avuto la partenza più veloce, è la Gran Bretagna che sta prendendo e ha il comando di questa gara. Non siamo sorpresi, anche perché questi due ragazzi erano il prodiere e il numero 7 dell'8 campione del mondo Under 23. ai mondiali in Canada, quindi sicuramente la punta è la loro specialità e stanno mantenendo la loro prima posizione, con però l'America e la Germania che sono sotto di loro, sono a pochi metri di loro, infatti mantenendo 38 colpi al minuto. La Gran Bretagna difende il suo primo posto, mentre con 36 colpi al minuto l'America cerca di seguire e di allontanarsi sempre di più dalla Germania 1, mentre sono subito dopo c'è l'atleta la barca italiana, che sono due ragazzi medaglie di bronzo di questo evento al Mondiale del 23 in Canada, e un po' più tardato invece i danesi e la Germania 2.
Not much chopping and changing in terms of the order, but look at Italy. They have moved up a place, fourth at the moment at 1,500 meters, but it's still Great Britain leading, but by a second, Richie. So we'll see if the Americans and the Germans can put anything up of a good sprint, because they'll need to start moving quickly, otherwise Britain will take the win here.
They're coming down now just before the last 250 metres into those red boys, and it's still the GB crew leading it out, rating 40 strokes per minute at the moment, holding off the challenge of USA. They're the 1 and 2, but on a charge as well. The Italians, they might have left it a little bit too late in the run-in towards the finish.
Inghilterra attaccata dagli Stati Uniti per la prima posizione, poi Germania e l'Italia con Timpanaro Caramaschi che sono riusciti a scrollarsi di dosso la Danimarca in quarta posizione, si stanno involando verso il traguardo, un bel serrate finale, gli Stati Uniti che cercano di mettere in difficoltà la Gran Bretagna ancora lì davanti.
So GB take it up to 42 strokes per minute. They're not letting the teams from USA get back into contention. They do have an overlap, but they might run out of water here. These two crews pushing on, but open water ahead of the crew from Germany back in third place. Really exciting finish, but GB go again and just crossing the line, 3/4 of a length ahead of the team from USA, Germany. The Italians coming in there in fourth place ahead of Denmark and the second German crew. That closes out a final C of the men's pairs for positions 13 to 18. And a job done there for Lassen and Rawlinson of Great Britain. The young rowers coming out of under 23, holding off the challenge of USA in second, Germany third, Italy in fourth, Denmark fifth, and the second German crew in sixth place. And next up, we are with the final C of the men's doubles sculls. Already through 500, it's Australia 2 leading it out ahead of Sweden, Great Britain, Estonia and Indonesia, but United States in sixth place at the moment, coming through the 500-metre marker times, and they're approaching 1,000 already. So we're going to head straight up to Tim to get all of the action.
Lovely, thank you, Richie. And a lot of action is to be seen on the lake with the crew from Australia and one of those centre lanes leading the field home at the moment. A great start from the Aussies with Jack Cleary and Harrison Fox. That combination really flying down the track here, but the race is far from over just yet, because right beside them Sweden are keeping them honest in this first half of the race, and keep a close eye on that crew from Great Britain as well. Great Britain too still within contact of the leading two crews. On the far side, a quick shout out to the crew, the United States of America 2 crew, with Nollenberger and Hermann in the stroke seat, and they are dead level with the crew from Estonia, and of course the crew right under our noses, that's Indonesia too. So all these crews within, I'd say, 2.5 lengths of each other, past 1,000, but it is the Aussies leading at the moment.
Grande partenza dall'Australia 2 con Jack Cleary e Harry Fox, che con due stili un po' diversi di remata ma apparentemente efficienti stanno portando a casa, stanno cercando di portare a casa una prima posizione, anche se la Svezia li ha appena superati, mantenendo gli stessi numero di colpi ma con velocità maggiore. Quindi abbiamo adesso in testa la Svezia, seguita dall'Australia, e si stanno contendendo le ultime 3 posizioni l'America, l'Estonia e l'Indonesia.
Fantastic move by the crew from Sweden with Erik Karlström in the stroke seat, setting a very solid 36 strokes a minute for his bowman Samuel Oskarsson to follow, and they have actually moved through, if I'm not mistaken. A great turn of pace from them. They've taken the lead and they immediately put a decent margin into the Aussies. The Aussies fading at the moment and struggling a bit, I think, with Great Britain now moving into second position overall. Tom Barras and James Cartwright in that double. We'll see if the Brits can produce a great sprint finish to overhaul the Swedes. They're about to cross into the final 500 meters of this race, so just a quick summary: Sweden 1, Great Britain 2, then it's the Aussies in third across 1500 meters with Estonia in the USA fourth, Estonia fifth, and Indonesia sixth at the moment.
So all change in the last 500 metres, similar to the last race that we had in this final C of the men's double sculls. Our early leaders, Australia 2, now back in fourth place coming down to the last quarter. It is the Swedish crew, fastest time coming out of the heats yesterday, now moving in to take the lead in the last quarter, ahead of Great Britain, just slightly off, less than a length off the pace, so very much within striking distance as they come in towards a run into the finish. And USA now moving from sixth place off the first 500 into third. They're the 1, 2 and 3 with Australia, Estonia and Indonesia 4th, 5th and 6th.
Molto veloce l'azione della Svezia in questa finale C del doppio maschile, che ha controllato l'equipaggio australiano, che sicuramente è partito molto forte nei primi 1000 metri, adesso sta accusando Svezia lì davanti a far l'andatura, seguita da Gran Bretagna 2 e poi Stati Uniti in difficoltà. Adesso l'Australia che si vede superata anche dall'Estonia per la quarta posizione e addirittura potrebbe essere attaccata dall'Indonesia. Continua lì davanti l'azione della Svezia, cerca di non far rientrare la Gran Bretagna.
Little glance over from the GB crew to see where Sweden are. They might run out of water here. They have the overlap and they're on the charge, GB, taking up to 44 strokes per minute to Sweden's 38 as they wind up to the line. But Sweden just holding on to half a length as they come in towards the finish. It's going to be Sweden taking the win, 3/4 of a length ahead of GB in second place. The crew from USA coming in third, just ahead of Estonia, Indonesia, and our early leaders, the crew from Australia, back in sixth place to close out final C of the men's double sculls for positions 13 to 18 overall, and it was the Swedish crew taking the win. So straight back to the action, looking to close out our last two races in the series of final Cs. Next up is going to be the women's single scull, a 5-boat race here as the Australian sculler Laura Gowerly doesn't start, withdrawn for medical reasons. Hope Laura is okay, speedy recovery. But we do have 5 boats here, gone through 1,000 metres already, and it is the Hong Kong China sculler leading it out ahead of Paraguay, Uruguay in second and third, Switzerland in fourth, Sweden in fifth as they went through the 500 metre mark, and they're winging their way down to the 1,000 metres. So we'll head straight over to Tim. Looking good for Hong Kong China so far.
It's been an exceptional start from the athlete from Hong Kong China, Wing Yan Winnie Hung. She really shot out of the blocks quite quickly, and she was a second quicker to 500 than any of the other crews competing here in this C final, and she's able to maintain a bit of a cushion back to Alejandra Alonso Alderete from Paraguay, who of course raced this boat class at the Paris Olympic Games, coming in 19th overall. That's the crew, the athlete placed second at the moment. Then there's a bit of a gap. I think we'll have to look at Olivia Negrinotti from Switzerland, who is currently occupying third at the moment, followed very closely by Chloe Calorda from Uruguay. And then we have to move all the way across to the far side of the lake for Silvia Greco from Sweden, who is fifth and last at 1,000. Nice, long, flowy rhythm from the two leading athletes, but a bit of a push from Alejandra Alonso Alderete. Sees her moving into first position, about a canvas ahead of the athlete from Hong Kong, China.
Sono due le atlete a contendersi la prima posizione per adesso in questa gara. Abbiamo Wing Yan Winnie da Hong Kong e Alejandra Alonso Alderete, che stanno battagliando per il primo posto con due stili simili, le ho appena viste passare e stanno cercando di aggrappare il più possibile tutta l'acqua da spostare per rendere questo singolo veloce. Seguita poi dall'atleta svizzera Olivia Negrinotti, dall'Uruguay, la Svezia e l'Australia. Ora si stanno avvicinando all'ultimo quarto di gara, con ancora un po' di minuti da combattere. Vedremo alla fine come si svolgerà questa finale.
So in terms of order, the chopping and changing is at the back of the field, but a great middle thousand being produced here by Alonso Alderete from Paraguay. She's really looking strong, but Hung is hanging in there, just a couple of seconds off the pace. The difference not being that much at the moment. Just about a length, perhaps a little less, and the athlete from Hong Kong, China, keeping everybody perfectly honest at the front of the field. And then still Switzerland, Negrinotti is still third at the moment, but Sweden and Uruguay locked in a phenomenal battle at the back of the field, going all out, rating quite highly there for the Uruguayan sculler at the moment. She is struggling a bit though in terms of speed, so high rate but not really producing the speed she wants, which sees Greco from Sweden moving more securely into fourth overall at the moment. The race though, Richie, still out in front. A well-timed push there from Alonso Alderete saw her moving into the lead, around about 1,000 meters gone, and she's coming now into the final 500 meters, still leading Hong Kong, China.
So slight change from what we saw in the heats for both these scullers from Paraguay and Hong Kong, China. In the heat, it was Hong Kong, China who was the faster of the two, taking fifth place overall. It was sixth for Paraguay. So we've shaken it up here in the last 500 with Alonso Alderete taking the lead and opening up and extending a bit of a lead here ahead of Hong Kong, China. Switzerland in third, coming through 500 ahead of Sweden, and then Uruguay bringing up sixth position.
È un confronto intenso quello che stiamo vedendo nella finale C del singolo femminile tra Paraguay e Hong Kong. Hong Kong che è partita molto forte, ma a metà gara Alonso Alderete per il Paraguay ha cambiato marcia, si è messa lì davanti, metro su metro, ha cercato di guadagnare del vantaggio. È quasi una lunghezza intera quella che la vede portare la sua prua davanti rispetto al confronto diretto con Hong Kong, ma nulla è ancora scontato perché non cede l'atleta di Hong Kong in seconda posizione in questo momento.
So contrasting styles from the scullers as they come in towards the finish. The Swiss sculler up at 37 strokes per minute. Sweden down at 31 as they battle out for some of the minor places. No doubt about the leader here though. Paraguay, it is Alejandra Alonso Alderete has really timed this well in the last 500, moving into clear water lead ahead of Wing Yan Win. Hung of Hong Kong, China in second, who in turn has clear water back to Olivia Negriotti of Switzerland. They're the 1, 2 and 3. Silvia Greco looking to hold on to fourth place ahead of Chloe Calderera of Uruguay in fifth. And just coming into the line, we're watching Hung of Hong Kong, China really put it up in the last few strokes. She's surging here towards the line and she might just get it. It's a photo finish, an amazing finish there from Wing Yan Win Hong, and it looks like she took the win. Just coming up on screen, leading for the very last stroke in the last 500 meters, just taking it by 0.1 of a second ahead of Paraguay in second. Switzerland taking third, ahead then of the scullers from Sweden in fourth and Uruguay in sixth. An amazing finish there for the win for Hong Kong, China. So straight back up to close out our last final C of this session, and it is the men's single sculls, and we're going to head straight up to pick up the race at 1,000 with Tim.
Yeah, lovely, Richie. Thanks so much. It's been interesting to watch these athletes compete with two Italian teammates racing in the center lanes, and boy, are they going all out to prove themselves here on the water. Marco Selva currently leading. He went through the 1,000-meter mark first, just a few tenths of a second second ahead of Davide Mumulo from Italy, and going with them Luciano Garcia from Uruguay. That's the top three, and then not much separating the Japanese, Uzbekistan and Polish scullers, hot on the heels of the leading trio.
Bellissimo vedere questo confronto tra Marco Selva, Italia, Luciano Garcia, Uruguay, e l'altro italiano Davide Mumulo combattere per questa prima posizione di questa finale. Ricordiamo che Marco Selva è classe 2005, quindi giovanissimo, è medagliato di bronzo in 4 di coppia al mondiale Under 23, che si sta confrontando con il mondo senior, questo suo debutto, quindi ottimo e buona fortuna a lui. Mantiene la seconda posizione Davide Mumulo, avvicinandosi agli ultimi 600 metri della gara, seguito però dal Giappone Tatsuka Sakurama e sempre l'Uruguay Luciano Garcia. Un po' più attardati sono l'Uzbekistan e la Polonia.
So after that quick start of Luciano Garcia from Uruguay in lane 2, he's slipping back a little with Sakurama from Japan now pushing through into third overall. But look at the two Italians in the center lanes closing up. There's less than a canvas separating the two Italian scullers, Richie. Great stuff into the final few hundred meters.
This is what we want to see on Lake Varese. Two of the local runners really having a hop off each other here. Davide Mumulo so unlucky not to qualify out of the quarterfinals into the semi-finals, beaten by less than a second in his race yesterday. Here now looking to challenge Marco Selva of Italy. They're the 1 and 2, a little bit further back than Japan in third place, Uruguay, Poland and Uzbekistan. So with Italy versus Italy, I'm going to hand over to the expert.
Sono azzurre le prime due posizioni di questa finale C del singolo maschile. Davide Mumulo adesso sta cercando di sopravanzare il giovane Marco Selva, veramente una lotta fratricida fra questi due splendidi singolisti che ieri non sono riusciti ad accedere alle fasi successive veramente per pochissimo. Adesso ognuno dei due sta cercando di dare il proprio meglio, nessuno vuole rimanere dietro. Davide in questo momento sta cercando di mettere anche la sua esperienza per contrastare l'esuberanza del giovane Marco Selva. Veramente uno spettacolo incredibile vedere questi due atleti che stanno profondendo tutte le loro energie, la loro capacità tecnica per far scivolare veloci i singoli. Prova in questo momento il Giappone a farsi vedere per la terza posizione di fianco all'Uruguay, ma è ancora la lotta azzurra lì davanti. Davide Mumulo incrementa il numero di colpi, veramente 45 colpi al minuto. Un rush finale incandescente, sta facendo veramente volare il suo singolo, non vuole lasciare spazio alla concorrenza, agli avversari. Veramente un'accelerazione incredibile in questo momento, va a tagliare il traguardo in prima posizione. Grande prova di Davide Mumulo, molto molto bene anche il giovane Marco Selva per la seconda posizione.
Well, I'll tell you what, if this is final C, I can't wait to see how the final A and B are going to go. Some exciting races here and a really brilliant race there from the two Italian scullers. Just coming into the warren, it was timing to perfection, up at 48 strokes per minute. Davide Mumulo taking the win. Ahead of Marco Selva from Italy, a 1-2. Garcia of Uruguay in third. Japan in fourth. Poland fifth. And Uzbekistan in sixth. So that closes out our final Cs. And just before we head up to final Bs, we're going to head down to Mr. Varese himself, Luca.
Hey, welcome back here. Well, you know, I've been thinking about it over the last couple of months, and now it's time to do it. You know, their voice, they are all over the world. They push all the athletes and all the action. They create the best memories in rowing. They are the official voice. So please follow me. Now we're going to introduce them. Actually, I wanted to do the dance cam with them, but there was not enough space here. Martin and Greg, welcome to our walk and talk. You're getting ready, looks like all ready to roll. When are we going to see you in action today?
Well, we're on for the women's singles semi-final and the men's singles semi-final, and then we've got a few finals, like women's, like we mentioned, para-finals. And that's the first time we're in action, but we're really excited to watch the semi-finals this morning.
Greg, what's your, the race of the weekend for you?
Oh, well, it's just great to be here and alongside the crowd to get to watch these semi-finals that are coming up. I'm excited to see this Australian men's four who've kind of come onto the scene because we got to be at the Europeans 2 weeks ago. So I guess seeing the rest of the world coming and joining in now. And then, yeah, we've got A finals coming up later, which we're televising, but we're watching all the others and getting to enjoy everything that Varese has to offer.
Martin?
Yeah, I've got a little prediction competition going on with Marion Floridian-Nash, the Romanian. Romania aren't here, but the Olympic champion in men's double sculls. And he's put all his winners. He thinks that Jakob Pihau's going to win the men's single. But, you know, I'm looking at the two Dutch athletes, Tweller and Van Dort, and I'm so looking forward to seeing them go head-to-head in what I imagine will be tomorrow's final.
Well, so let's wait, let's see, let's get back to the tower now, but we'll see a lot of action coming up with the B finals.
Grazie, Luca. And we're back now with the B finals, a series of 5 races before we head into some semi-finals to close out this morning's session. And already on its way down to us, it is final B of the lightweight women's single scull 3-boat race here between Portugal, Hong Kong, China and Ghana. They've already gone through the 500-metre mark and on their way to 1,000. We're going to head up to Tim to get the latest.
Thanks, Richie. And a bit of a surprise, I should say, because based on the times from the heats, we would expect Wing Wung Leung from Hong Kong, China, to lead this race and, yeah, well, dominated because he was so much quicker in the heats than the other 2 athletes competing here in the B final. But at the moment, a very gutsy start from Inês Oliveira from Portugal. She's really stormed out in the first 500 and at this stage, we're just a couple of strokes from the 1,000-metre mark. She cherishes a lovely lead. It's a couple of lengths of clear water to Hong Kong, China, with the athlete from Ghana, with Nathalie Weber, who also raced for the German national team previously. Currently in third, about a length down on the athlete from Hong Kong, China. But Oliveira from Portugal leading by clear water, coming through 1,000.
Considerando le batterie di ieri ci aspettavamo di vedere Leung Wing Wun da Hong Kong gestire questa gara in prima posizione, ma apparentemente le sorti sono cambiate perché ogni gara è diversa ed è infatti Inês Oliveira dal Portogallo a battere la strada anche in questi secondi 1.000 metri di questa finale B del singolo femminile pesi leggeri. Ha un numero di colpi più alto rispetto alle altre 2 atlete, quindi significa che ha una palata un po' più rapida, una rapidità muscolare leggermente più alta rispetto alle altre che stanno mantenendo i 33 e i 34 colpi al minuto. Nathalie Weber dal Ghana sta mantenendo la terza posizione un po' più attardata rispetto a Hong Kong, mantenendo 34 colpi al minuto. È un atleta che proviene dalla nazionale tedesca e solamente recentemente ha cambiato la nazionalità con cui gareggia.
So both Leung and Oliveira, they actually share quite a similar story from last season, both missing out on Olympic qualification, and then they went all the way to St. Catharines in Canada to compete at the non-Olympic World Championships, and they actually finished 1 place difference. So I think, if my memory serves, because I was there, that Oliveira took 18th overall and Leung got 17. So these athletes well familiar with each other here in this B final. They are approaching 500 meters to go, and it's still Oliveira leading. And currently, I think still about a length and a half, perhaps a full length of clear water ahead of Leung from Hong Kong, China, with Weber from Ghana completing the field.
So all to play for still down into the last quarter of final B of the women's lightweight single sculls. And on paper, we were saying there that it does look like Hong Kong, China. We were expecting to lead this one out. But at the moment, Portugal, Oliveira Inês just doing what she needs to do in the middle part of the race here. But I'm sure as she comes to the run-in towards the finish, she wants even more of a cushion of clear water between her and the Hong Kong China sculler, and Ghana back in third place to make sure that she can secure 7th place overall in Final B of the women's lightweight single sculls. Contrasting styles again here, the Portuguese sculler up at 37-38 strokes per minute and really consistent boat speed. The Hong Kong China sculler back 32 strokes per minute, much lower rate but similar power in the water, but with a 20-metre difference between first and second. She might run out of water coming in to challenge Portugal in the run-in towards the line.
Insiste l'azione di Ines Oliveira, il Portogallo, che si è messa lì davanti fin dall'inizio, adesso addirittura incrementa il numero di colpi, incrementa anche la velocità del suo scafo, non vuole lasciare spazio a Hong Kong e Ghana perché ha deciso di andare a vincere questa finale C del singolo leggero femminile. Buona la velocità del suo singolo, adesso addirittura vediamo oltre 40 colpi al minuto, vuole veramente sgasare nella parte finale, incrementa ancora la distanza dalla seconda posizione, quella condotta in questo momento da Hong Kong, oltre un'imbarcazione luce di vantaggio, veramente sta incrementando molto la sua velocità, non si accontenta, continua a insistere nella sua accelerazione finale.
So dominant display here by Ines Oliveira as she powers towards the line here for Portugal. Dominated the race from the start. Continues to push on at 40 strokes per minute. The head is going down a little bit, but she knows the last few strokes are there. And a real push here from Ghana coming back at the Hong Kong Chinese sculler. Another exciting finish for second and third as we hear Portugal crossing the line. And it was Hong Kong China just about holding off the challenge of Weber by about half a canvas coming in towards the finish. So Ines Oliveira taking the win there and 7th position overall ahead of Hong Kong China in 8th, and the Ghanaian sculler taking 9th position in the lightweight women's single sculls. Straight back with the next B final. It's the lightweight men's single sculls B final, and already through 500. There's 3-boat race between the Netherlands, Iraq and Norway coming fast on the 1,000 metres, so we'll head straight up to Tim.
Thanks, Richie. A great start from Brian Paul from the Netherlands. Saw him leading the field at 500 metres gone, but a massive push from Mohammed Al-Kafaji from Iraq sees him, well, basically striding away every single stroke, putting more distance into the Dutchman. He's now almost a full length ahead of Brian Paul from the Netherlands, with Mats Reite from Norway third at 1,000. Of course, Mats raced at the European Rowing Championships before coming here to race in Varese, and he finished 5th in the A final there, and he'll be disappointed to be racing this B final, but he's still in a position to go for the win here. But a fantastic move, I have to say, and I have to admit, from Al-Kafaji from Iraq, leading ahead of Brian Paul from the Netherlands.
Grande attacco da parte di Mohamed Al-Kafaj dell'Iraq, che ai 1000 metri ha guadagnato sempre più acqua, si è distaccato sempre di più dai suoi avversari, l'olandese Brian Paul e il norvegese, classe 2006, quindi anche lui molto giovane, Mats Reite. E stiamo fondamentalmente mantenendo la stessa classifica che abbiamo visto qui dalla torretta dei 1000 metri, quindi sta mantenendo la testa della gara l'Iraq, seguito dall'Olanda e a chiudere l'atleta norvegese.
So at the moment, Al-Kafaji from Iraq seems to be able to maintain that high speed for the same amount of strokes a minute as Brian Paul, who's still in 2nd position. But keep a close eye out for Mats Reite from Norway, because he is creeping up on the bow from the Dutch single sculler. They're both about 30 meters behind Al-Kafaji from Iraq now, so he's really motoring along. Coming into the 500 meters gone, it's an amazing performance by the Iraqi sculler, of course, with plenty of experience. He's an Olympian. He competed in the single at the Tokyo Olympic Games, placing 22nd overall, and then raced as a lightweight in the following years, but didn't come close to the podium at those occasions. But a great race from him. He's putting more distance into the other two athletes coming into the Red Bull area. Back to you, Richie.
So really impressive middle 1,000 meters from the Iraqi sculler to take the lead and open up a cushion of 30 meters between him and the chasing pack of Netherlands and Norway. He's looking good at the moment, just needs to maintain his composure, and I'm sure the sight of the red boys coming up for him shortly will be the motivation that he needs to hold on to that lead. And once again, we're going to see a battle for second and third, similar to the previous races between Netherlands and Norway, to see who's going to place overall 8th and 9th.
Ottima la velocità espressa dal Khafaj, l'atleta dell'Iraq, che si è messo lì davanti e ha veramente costruito un distacco importante sui due diretti avversari, Olanda e Norvegia, che in questo momento stanno cercando di confrontarsi per la seconda posizione in questa finale B. È lì davanti comunque il leader di appunto questa finale B, l'atleta iracheno, che continua a insistere, 35 colpi al minuto, ma molto alta la velocità del suo singolo.
So finish line is in sight for the Iraqi sculler Mohammed Al-Kafai. Powers on here, maintaining 36 strokes per minute in full control. Glance over the shoulder, he knows the finish line is there. And now we're seeing Mads Riete really push on with a powerful finish here, passing out Brian Pohl in the last 100 meters, taking second place, just ahead then of the Dutch sculler. So just to recap, in the lightweight men's single, final B for positions 7, 8 and 9, it is the Iraqi sculler Mohammed Al-Kafadi taking the lead there ahead of Mads Riete in second for Norway, and Brian Pohl of Netherlands coming in third. Three more final Bs to get through before we head into the semi-finals. And next up, it's going to be the women's double sculls. Gone through 500 meters, and it's the New Zealand crew just holding off the challenge of the local Italian crew ahead of Switzerland, Netherlands, and Indonesia. We're going to head straight up to Tim to get the latest update on the race.
Thanks, Richie, and what a great race it's been so far with the top crew at the moment. Racing from the centre lanes, it's New Zealand 2 who are leading, but by about a canvas ahead of Italy, followed very closely by the Switzerland 2 crew, which is, of course, Wettstein and Roth, Olivia Roth there in the stroke seat, very experienced athletes from Swiss sculling division, but they're currently, well, more or less level with the Italians as they approach 1,000 meters gone, with the Kiwis still leading, but it's not much, to be honest. If I were in that New Zealand double, I would fear the Italians because they look so strong and so determined out on the water. On the far side, the Netherlands 2, a new combination, the Dutch racing with a talent team as well here, and next to the senior squad, Iris van den Berg and Isabel van Opzeeland, the athletes with LA prospects here to gain some vital experience, and they are currently placed 4th at the moment past 1,000, with Indonesia 5th at this stage of the race.
Bellissimo vedere le nostre ragazze italiane Ilaria Corazze e Sara Borghi cominciare a guadagnare velocità poco prima dei 1.000 metri e continuare martellando passo dopo passo, palata dopo palata, per prendersi e mantenere una prima posizione. Devono stare comunque attente alla Nuova Zelanda 2 perché hanno la stessa velocità, mantenendo gli stessi colpi, quindi sarà un confronto da ammirare fino alla fine. Manteniamo invece una terza posizione la Svizzera, dove la capovoga è un'esperienza, un'atleta con esperienza, Olivia Roth, perché infatti è vice campionessa del mondo Under 23 in questa categoria, quindi anche questo è il suo tipo di gara. A chiudere poi c'è Olanda 2 e un po' più attardato invece l'Indonesia.
So the Italians putting the pressure on the Kiwis with Ella Kosil and Sophie Egnott-Johnson in the stroke seat there, responding to the Italian charge, trying to push away, but the Italians then responding with a push of their own. So coming into the final 500 meters of this race, 3/4 of the race already done. We can see, we'll probably expect to see, Richie, a fast and furious Italian sprint from the Italian combination of Ilaria Corazza and Sara Borghi.
Absolutely. Where you want to be is in control of this race, which New Zealand think they are. But what do you not want? It's an Italian crew on their home turf coming right behind you with an overlap of a boat. So they're the 1 and 2 at the moment. And I'm going to hand over to Rossano to whip this Italian crowd into frenzy.
Insiste l'azione di Ilaria Corazza e Sara Borghi nel mettere pressione alla formazione della Nuova Zelanda, che è ancora lì davanti. Hanno cercato di agganciare la formazione neozelandese dopo i 1000 metri, ma ovviamente si sono ben difese le avversarie e cercano di non farsi superare dalle nostre azzurre, che insistono nella loro azione. Molto buona la velocità, alto il numero di colpi, ormai si è sganciata la Svizzera, quindi è una lotta per la prima e seconda posizione tra Nuova Zelanda e Italia. L'Italia che insiste, ma Nuova Zelanda che mantiene l'andatura lì davanti per quasi una lunghezza sulla formazione azzurra.
You have to be impressed with the New Zealand crew. They've come to under increased pressure coming in towards the finish line, but they just found another gear coming into the last 250, and they did not let the Italian crew come back at them as they approach the line. They've opened up clear water once again, a little bit of a cushion. The Italians going yet again in the last few strokes. They're trying to get an overlap, but they're going to run out of water here. The New Zealand crew have timed it again to perfection with their last little push coming in the 100 meters, just a little bit of clear water. Back to the Italian crew in second place, ahead of Switzerland, who take half a length out of the Dutch crew in fifth place. And it's the Indonesian crew a little bit further back, off the pace, closing out this final B of the women's double sculls. So fantastic win there for the New Zealand crew. Coach James Coote will be happy with Ella Kossel and Sophie Egnott-Johnson really doing a great job there, holding off the challenge that came from Italy. Straight back with the next race, just 2 more final Bs to close out, and it's final B of the women's 4 through 500. People's Republic of China leading out Netherlands, Canada, Australia and Austria, and we're going to head up now as they approach the 1,000 metres for the latest from Tim.
Great to see the bigger boats out on the water with the men of the women's 4. Those crews really storming through here. And I have to say, the wind has picked up slightly. We had a very minor tailwind this morning, but it's increased coming into the afternoon with the People's Republic of China looking solid out in front. They've taken about 3/4 of a length out of the crew to their left. That's Canada. And the Canadians are joined by the Dutch, the Netherlands 2 crew, again a talent development crew from the Netherlands, currently sitting in 3rd overall, leading the Aussie Australia 2 crew for 4th, and 5th is the crew from Austria. So those the last 2 crews about a length from the Chinese 4, but the crews from Canada and the Netherlands still within striking distance from the Chinese 4.
Questa è la prima gara con un equipaggio multiplo ed è bellissimo vedere i vari stili di remata, quindi come ogni nazione, come ogni canottiere interpreta la propria remata. Al passaggio ai 1000 abbiamo la Cina che sta ancora mantenendo la sua posizione di testa, seguita da un confronto serratissimo tra Canada e Olanda 2, che sono a pochi centesimi l'uno dall'altro. Chissà come riusciranno ad attaccare, magari nell'ultimo 500, come interpreteranno la loro rush finale, la loro chiusura finale, quanti colpi raggiungeranno. Seguito poi invece dall'Australia 2 e dall'Austria si avvicinano all'ultimo quarto di gara.
So just about 600 meters left to race, and the Chinese 4 keeping the Dutch and the Canadians at a distance. There's clear water between the leading crew from China and the 2nd and 3rd place Canadians and Dutch at the moment. The Dutch try to push on. You could see the increased rate around about 1,400 meters gone, but actually I think they are struggling a bit because the Canadians now move more firmly into second position, with China still leading by clear water. Richie coming into the final 350 meters to go.
So dominant display here by China. They've led through the first three quarters, and now in the run into the finish, they're opening up their lead even more. The problem for them might be Canada and Netherlands pushing each other on as they're overlapping for second and third, and that little mini tussle for second and third might get them back into contention with the leaders in the run into the last quarter. The fastest boats out on the water still holding with the Chinese crew, really consistent rowing from them. The Canadian crew on a real charge here now, and they take it up to 39 strokes per minute, but the Chinese crew's matching them as well on the stroke rate. It's all going to be about the boat speed, and still staying in touch, it's the Netherlands.
Cerca di spegnere ogni velleità da parte del Canada la formazione cinese, mettendo luce tra la propria poppa e la prua delle avversarie, quindi continua a condurre questa finale B del 4 senza femminile la formazione cinese lì davanti, una grande velocità di gara, adesso incrementa anche il numero di colpi, va oltre i 40 colpi al minuto, prova a rintuzzare il Canada per cercare di mantenere dietro Olanda 2 in terza posizione in questo momento, un po' più attardate le altre formazioni.
So the People's Republic of China power on again. They're up at 42 strokes per minute, maintaining clear water back to the challenge that's coming from the crew from Canada and the Netherlands. It is China just taking the win there by about a length of clear water, back to the crew from Canada moving from third into second, and the crew from the Netherlands just holding off. Australia too had a really good 500 to try to get back in the mix there. Solid race, solid last 500 from Australia, getting back into the mix there, and Austria closing it out. So that was final B of the women's 4. A really dominant display there by the fastest crew coming out of the heats. They maintained that form into the B final, and a win for the People's Republic of China. Down now to our last final B. It is the men's quad race, and they've gone through 500, 5-boat race here, leading out the People's Republic of China. Australia in second, Portugal in third, Germany fourth, and Austria in fifth as they went through 500. And we'll head straight up to Tim, where it does look like the Chinese crew leading it out yet again.
Yeah, the Chinese fans may have something to cheer about in about 1,000 meters because that Chinese quad is leading at the moment. They were the quickest qualifier for this B final from the heats yesterday, slightly quicker than the Germans, racing right beside them. But the Germans struggling a bit though. The Aussies on the far side, not particularly quick compared to the other crews, but the Aussies are currently in second, but a resurgent crew from Portugal sees them now pushing through and putting a pressure on the Chinese quad, with Austria back in fifth position. So everything to play for. I think the Chinese are really feeling the heat from that Portuguese push at the moment, and the Aussies and the Germans locked in a battle between themselves with 1,300 meters gone.
E la Cina ha registrato un tempo veloce ieri con 5:48,75 e adesso si sta mantenendo come battistrada anche durante il secondo 1000 metri di gara. Ha avuto una partenza molto veloce a fianco con l'Australia, che infatti sta spingendo la Cina, quindi sicuramente l'equipaggio cinese starà guardando le schiene dell'Australia e starà sentendo la pressione. Ma attenzione, c'è anche il Portogallo che non sta mollando una palata, infatti è salita a 39 colpi, mantenendo per adesso la velocità maggiore tra tutti gli equipaggi. Chissà come si svolgerà l'ultimo quarto di gara, se cominceranno già l'attacco ai 500 oppure aspetteranno un serrate finale. A chiudere questa finale B è l'Austria, che è un po' più attardata, mantenendo 38 colpi al minuto.
Very steady performance from the Chinese. They are still leading. It's first at 500, first at 1,000, and still leading at 1,500 meters gone. 500 meters left to row. We see Australia and Portugal neck and neck, basically level coming into the final few hundred meters, with Germany slipping back. Austria still fifth overall.
So the Chinese crew leading it out here, similar to the women's 4, they're rating 40 strokes per minute in the last 500, and we'll see what a gear change they have, taking it up now up to 42, so they're going, and the question is who's going to go with them. The Australian crew at the moment, and Portugal really battling it out for second and third. Portugal just getting the better of Australia in the run-in towards the finish, and still in the mix is Germany. The only crew further off the pace is Austria, moving back now into 5th place. They won't feature in this run-in towards the finish, but the Chinese crew dominating here. The question is who's going to get second, third and fourth.
Si sta rilevando infuocato questo finale della finale B del 4 di coppia maschile. La Cina è lì davanti, ma non si può certo rilassare. Il Portogallo sta attaccando veramente a una prua di svantaggio, ancora sta cercando di rientrare, ancora comunque molto vicina all'Australia e non troppo lontana alla Germania, quindi 4 equipaggi quasi sulla stessa linea, un'accelerazione incredibile nella parte finale per cercare di mantenere la prima posizione dalla parte della Cina, insidiata veramente dal Portogallo.
What a finish that we had there in the men's quad race in the B final. The Chinese crew with clear water coming into the last 250 meters, but just coming in towards the finish, they've come under increased pressure from the chasing pack. It was the Portuguese crew who came second, so People's Republic of China just holding on by half a second for the win and taking 7th position overall. Portugal in 2nd, Australia in 3rd, Germany in 4th, and it was Austria in 5th. After the excitement of those B finals, we're going to head straight down to the man with the mic and the moves. It's Luca.
Hey, we are here on the stage, and all of my crowd already sort of learned what we are about to do. As you might have seen, some banners are now in our spectator hands, and I'm going to give you all a masterclass in how to use a banner. Don't laugh, don't laugh. That's the masterclass of how to use the banner. First of all, the first one is really hot out here, so you can use it to cool down. Let's cool down a little bit. All together now. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Show me how you do it. Show me how you do it. Perfect. Zoom in, zoom in. I want to see our spectators. Yeah. Now, you can also use it for different and multiple purposes. On this side, you've got a QR code. You can scan it. And if you scan it, you go to the magic website, What Drawing, where you get all the latest updates, photos. Don't laugh. That's it. But it's not finished yet. Because instead of clapping your hand all day long, you can make some noise. Let's hear some noise, guys. Let's hear some noise. Well, but you can do it even better now. Even better. Wait. You can do it even better, because if you use your feet as well, in 3, 2, 1, make some noise! That's what we want. Can I say I love you? I love you. Well, last. We got our magic photographer Detlef on my side here on the pontoon. Take the rubber away and open it, because we want to send a message all together. Up in the air in 3, 2, 1. Smile. Well, up. Smile. And don't forget to bring your banner back this afternoon for the afternoon session. We'll have a lot of fun together. You can make some noise and you can feel special. Because you are the only one who got these banners this morning. So please keep enjoying and make some noise.
Grazie, Luca. I'm a big fan. Straight back to the action now with semi-final 1 of the women's pairs. We're going to head up to the 1,000 metres through these semi-finals. We have the first 3 crews going into final A and the next competitors going into final B. And looking through the first 500, Chile leading it out ahead of the Netherlands, Great Britain, Australia, USA and Switzerland. And Tim is going to give us the latest.
Thanks so much, Richie. It's been a great first part of this race, this first semi-final in the women's pair. The United States, well, I was expecting them to be a bit more close to the front, but you were perfectly right. The crew from Chile actually leading from lane number 5, and we would expect the crews in the centre lanes, the Netherlands and the Dutch, or the Netherlands and the British, I should say, to be featuring a bit more closely to the front of the race. But yeah, it's the top 3 trying to separate themselves. Chile, the Netherlands, Great Britain, and that new combination from the Netherlands pushing on. But they're basically bow-ball for bow-ball with the British combination, who were in the women's 8 at the Europeans, won a gold medal here, and they will be looking to repeat that performance in the pair. The Dutch, though, that new combination, Lynn van Aanholt, together with Nika Vos, racing as the Netherlands won, about a canvas down on the crew from Chile, who look comfortable at this stage. Don't forget the Aussies. The Aussies still with decent overlap. Actually, they might just about be... Yeah, they are actually second overall. A great push by the Australians. So it's 4 abreast through 1,000. And only the crews on the far side, the USA and Switzerland, feeling the strain in this first half of the race. So plenty of racing still to come. 4 crews vying for 3 places in the A final.
4 equipaggi, uno di fianco all'altro, a pochi centesimi l'uno dall'altro, che cercano di contendersi i primi 3 posti per qualificarsi per la finale A. Quindi 3 posti disponibili, 3 barche che sono attualmente il Cile, l'Australia 2 e la Gran Bretagna, veramente a pochi centesimi l'uno dall'altro. E questo tipo di gare si sbaglia una palata e possono cambiare le sorti dell'intera gara. Questa è la prima semifinale della giornata, dove appunto questi equipaggi possono giocarsi la possibilità di prendersi una medaglia. Abbiamo in testa ancora le sorelle cilene, che sono campionesse del mondo del 2017, under 23 di questa specialità, e si stanno riconfermando e divertendosi in questa, nel due senza, appunto questa è la loro specialità. In seconda posizione adesso troviamo l'Olanda 1, che però deve fare attenzione alla Gran Bretagna e all'Australia, ora che ci stiamo avvicinando agli ultimi 600 metri della gara. A chiudere abbiamo la Svizzera, che a 37 colpi al minuto cerca di aumentare la sua velocità, e gli Stati Uniti.
You have to hand it to Antonia and Melita Abram from Chile. They are leading. They went out hard in the first half of this race, and they still have a decent margin coming into the final 500 meters. The Australia 2 crew is slipping back slightly compared to Great Britain 1 and the Netherlands 1, who are dead level. The Dutch and the Brits basically tied for second and third. The Australians slipping back slightly. Switzerland coming back into this. The crew from the United States are clear water down, but it is Chile, the Netherlands, Great Britain for the qualifying positions coming into the Red Bull area. And back to you, Richie.
So we have 4 boats in the mix here for 3 spots in the A final. The crew from Chile have done all the running off the start, but a little change in the last 500 has seen Great Britain move into second place ahead of Netherlands, and the Australian crew were second through the 1,000, now back in 4th place. All to play for with overlap and just 5 metres separating the crews. Switzerland back in 5th place and USA in 6th. They might run out of water as they come into the red buoys now, and all eyes are going to be on centre of the course here. Who's leading it out? It is Chile still holding off, but Netherlands are on a charge.
Per oltre metà gara in 5 metri 4 equipaggi per 3 posizioni. Adesso Australia 2 sta un po' pagando lo sforzo iniziale, ancora davanti le gemelle cilene, ma Olanda adesso cerca il sorpasso, quindi cerca di mettersi lì davanti. Poi Cile in seconda posizione e subito dopo Gran Bretagna. Veramente un finale incandescente per questa prima semifinale del 2 senza femminile.
So the Dutch crew, 4th coming through 500. They put a huge push on in the last quarter, and they're just a canvas ahead of the crew from Chile. They're the 1 and 2 securing their positions ahead of Great Britain in 3rd. They're the 1, 2 and 3 advancing on to the final. A really well-timed push there from the Netherlands sees them moving in and taking the win just ahead of race leaders for the majority of that race. Chile in second, ahead then of Great Britain. They're the 1, 2 and 3, and a little bit further back then to the crews that will race out in the B final. It was Switzerland who came in fourth, ahead of the crews from Australia and United States of America. So that closes out our first semi-final in the women's pairs. The three crews moving on: Netherlands, Chile and Great Britain. So we'll shortly have semi-final 2 of the women's pairs. Delayed start a little bit, but we'll be shortly underway. And again, a 6-boat race here with 3 crews to qualify into the A final and the other 3 crews advancing onto the B final. The 6 boats will be People's Republic of China, Croatia, Czechia, Italy, Australia and Netherlands. That's semi-final 2 of the women's pairs. So we are underway now with the second semi-final of the women's pairs. Off the start, it was the crew from Italy, the local crew, leading it out just ahead of the crew from Czechia in second. A little bit further back then to Australia in third, holding off the challenge of Croatia and Netherlands, with the People's Republic of China just in 6th place at the moment. They're coming up on the 500-metre mark, so we'll get our first official timings there to see how they are playing out. Contrasting styles here, some of the rates down at 36 strokes per minute for the Netherlands, up at 40 for the Italians through 500, and it is the Italians leading it out just ahead of Czechia, Australia in third, Netherlands in fourth ahead of Croatia, and People's Republic of China currently in 6th place. So we're going to head straight up to the 1,000 metres to check in with Tim, and looking good for the Italians so far.
We would expect nothing less from the European silver medalists just 2 weeks ago. The Italians indeed storming out of the blocks here in that typical style we used to see with the Italian crews. High rate of striking, 39 strokes a minute, and I don't expect it to come down much in this middle 1,000 from the Italian combination racing here. And they also raced the 8. Let's not forget they doubled up in Plovdiv, also getting a bronze medal there. Alice Cordato and Laura Meriano in the bow seat. They are leading. It is a good start from them. And they've actually opened up a handsome margin over the rest of the field, putting clear water into the crew from Czechia to their left. And looking to their right, I think the closest crew competing for third at the moment is Emmy Federenko and Paige Barr from Australia. That's a very quick combination from the Aussies racing all out, currently sitting in third. Behind them, the field is relatively packed. The People's Republic of China and Croatia in lanes 1 and 2, more or less level at this stage of the race. And the Netherlands 2 combination of Ilse Kolkman and Claire de Kock are, well, actually on the march. A great push from them. Claire de Kock pushing the rate up to 35 strokes a minute. They actually rode past the Aussies, and they may even be in third overall. Yes, indeed it is. So the top 3, Italy, clear water ahead of Czechia, and the Dutch now moving into that remaining qualifying position with 1,000 meters still left to race.
Siamo abituati a vedere un'Italia con una partenza veloce, mantenere alti numero di colpi, e le nostre vice campionesse d'Europa e medaglie di bronzo nel lotto all'Europeo si stanno infatti confermando, stanno mangiando tantissima acqua, mantenendo 38-39 colpi al minuto. Bellissima rapidità di gambe. Forza ragazze. Mantenendo la prima posizione c'è l'Italia. Attualmente in seconda posizione abbiamo la Repubblica Ceca, molto veloce anche loro, con un alto numero di colpi, quindi è una gara proprio a chi riesce a resistere di più, perché ricordiamo che questa è semifinale, 3 posti per la finale A, 3 posti per giocarsi la possibilità di vincere una medaglia. Seguita poi terza posizione un confronto serratissimo tra la Croazia e l'Australia, che dalla primo 1000 sono a pochi centesimi di distanza, e anche qui una palata sbagliata può cambiare le sorti dell'intera gara. Un po' più attardato vediamo invece la Cina.
I think a little over 2 minutes left in this race, and what a joy to watch that Italian combination. The speed comes so easily to that Italian pair. There's no disturbance on the run of the boat, and they've opened up 22 meters back to Czechia in second position. The Dutch still clinging on to that third place overall, but look at the keep a close eye on the Aussies in lane number 5, and the Croatian combination of the Jurkovic sisters in lane number 2. They will be going for it because this is the last chance they have to get themselves into the A final.
So as they come down now to the run-in towards the finish, we're seeing it play out as it did in the first 3 quarters of the race here. Italy leading it all the way down, Czechia in second and Netherlands in third. These 3 crews looking good for the qualifying spots into the A final. The question is, what kind of finish has Australia and Croatia, both within striking distance of the Netherlands and Czechia, to put pressure on them for the last qualifying spot? The only crew further back and with a lot to do to get into the mix is the People's Republic of China, but no doubt about the leaders here. Italy leading out, looking to secure that A final.
È bella ma soprattutto efficace l'azione di Alice Codato e Laura Meriano lì davanti nella seconda semifinale del 2 senza. Come diceva anche Alessandra, ci hanno abituato queste splendide ragazze a una partenza molto veloce, quindi senza indugio sono scattate al semaforo verde, si sono messe lì davanti martellando colpo su colpo, hanno costruito un vantaggio importante che adesso le vede con una barca luce di vantaggio sulla Repubblica Ceca, che però sta incrementando la sua velocità, perché dietro per la terza posizione, quella ancora valida per passare alla finale, c'è Bagarra. Quindi è una situazione che non permette di rilassarsi. Sono ancora belle distese le nostre azzurre lì davanti che si stanno involando verso il traguardo, cercano di alzare i colpi per impedire alla Repubblica Ceca di rientrare, continuano a mantenere la testa di questa semifinale. Molto bella la loro prova.
So the Italian crew powering to the line here, just holding off a length of water just back to the crew from Czechia taking the spot. And what a last 250 from the crew from Australia, taking it up to 46 strokes per minute. And they passed out the Netherlands just in the last quarter. And it looks like they might secure the third qualifying spot into the A final. It is Italy, Czechia and Australia. They're the 1, 2 and 3. Netherlands back in fourth, along with the Croatia and the crew from the People's Republic of China. Those 3 will go through to the B final. But Italy, Czechia and Australia joining Netherlands, Chile and GB from the previous race to round out the semi-finals of the women's pairs. Straight back to the action already. The men's semi-final, the first semi-final on its way down. Similar, we have 3 to qualify for the A final, 3 going to the B final. They've already gone through 1,000 metres, so we'll head straight up to Tim.
Cheers, Richie. Just give you a quick summary. It's the New Zealand combination of Wells and Taylor who led from the start and are dominating this semi-final ahead of Italy 1, who are in second position as they were at 500, and Australia 1, the combination of Salisbury and Smith, who are in third overall. But the Netherlands 1, close behind the leading 3 athletes, Uzbekistan and Croatia, not really featuring in this race.
Piccolo riassunto della classifica avvicinandoci all'ultimo quarto di gara, dove troviamo una Nuova Zelanda in testa che sta mantenendo con 37 colpi al minuto la sua posizione. Al secondo posto troviamo invece l'Australia, seguita dalla nostra Italia, dai nostri vice campioni d'Europa. 3 i posti disponibili, vediamo che possono combattere fino alla fine per mantenere questa posizione. Un po' più attardati invece vediamo la Croazia, l'Olanda e l'Uzbekistan.
So the Kiwis still leading at 1,500 and behind them between Italy and Australia. There's a great matchup, basically level for second and third. I think the Dutch are feeling the strain. They're not going to feature in the final few hundred meters. Croatia 2 now stepping into fourth overall. Uzbekistan 5th and 6th.
It's a really exciting finish here, but it does look like we've two races on our hands here. The race for the 3 spots looking secure for New Zealand, the fastest crew coming out of the heats yesterday, leading this one out ahead of Australia in second, Italy in third. These 3 looking good for the A final. The question is, can the Croatian twins, Lankarich brothers, put pressure on and wind up towards the finish and get back into the mix against Italy?
Prima semifinale per il 2 senza maschile, si fa incandescente questa ultima parte perché se la Nuova Zelanda sta conducendo fin dall'inizio, adesso sono 3 le formazioni che si stanno contendendo le altre 2 posizioni utili per il passaggio alla finale, Australia, Italia e Croazia. Adesso la Croazia cerca di incrementare la propria velocità per passare gli azzurri cercano di rispondere, vedono di mantenere dietro l'Australia, una bagarre incredibile fino alle ultime palate, quindi bisogna insistere colpo su colpo fino sul traguardo.
Another amazing finish here towards the line. The New Zealand crew just holding on to the win there. It's the Croatian crew of the Lankarich twins, the last 500 that blasted them through to take the second qualifying spot, just holding off the Italians. They were the 1, 2 and 3. An amazing last 500 from Patrick and Anton Lankarich to move into second place. They're taking that spot. Italy in third, those 3 advancing on to the A final. Austria just pipped in to 4th place. They'll have to contest the B final along with Uzbekistan and the crew from the Netherlands as well. Really exciting finish there for the first semi-final of the men's pairs. And before we can catch our breath, the second semi-final is winging its way down to us, and we're going to head straight up to Tim.
Yeah, and the second very rapid Croatian pair is heading down the track, Richie. The Sinkovic brothers looking a bit more sharp than they did yesterday. It's a long and strong power rowing from the Croatians. Starting with a great start, I should say. 1:33, opening up more or about a second to all the rest of the crews in the first 500, and they've kept on moving behind them. So it's clear water for the Sinkovic brothers, then it's clear water to the crew from the Netherlands of Molenaar and Van der Bij, second at the moment, and then the field is really tightly packed for the final qualification spot into the A final. Great stuff between Czechia, Switzerland, Denmark and Sweden.
Sono partiti veloci, hanno aumentato il distacco ai 1000 e ora ci approcciamo ai 1500 metri e stanno mantenendo ancora distanza con tutti i loro equipaggi. Sono i fratelli Sinkovic, campioni olimpici della specialità, che si vogliono assicurare la prima posizione in questa semifinale per avere anche una delle corsie migliori per poi disputare invece la finale A. Al secondo posto abbiamo l'Olanda 2, seguita da un terzo e un quarto posto a pochissimi centesimi l'uno dall'altro, e sono l'equipaggio della Svizzera e della Svezia, seguiti poi invece da Danimarca 2 e la Repubblica Ceca.
So great stuff from the Sinkovic brothers, of course, Olympic champions in this boat class. But Jan van der Bij is winding it up. Highest boat speed a few moments ago was from the Dutch. You can see the response coming from the Croatians. So that's the 1-2. Third at the moment, I'd say Switzerland is absolutely flying into the final 250 meters, Richie.
All the crews now starting to wind up as they come in towards those red markers. 2:50 to go. All the rates coming up to the high 39s, 40 strokes per minute. No doubt about the leaders. Croatia looking to secure 2 crews into the final of the men's pairs. And the Netherlands crew back in second, holding off Switzerland. They're the 1, 2 and 3. Surprised to see Denmark back in 5th position. They did have a similar time to the Netherlands in their heats, but not contesting the race here. In the wind-up for the line, who's going to get the 3 qualifying spots?
Grande partenza dei fratelli Sinkovic in questa seconda semifinale del 2 senza, perché si dovevano mettere lì davanti. 4 le imbarcazioni invece che si stanno giocando la seconda e la terza piazza per accedere alla finale, quindi una bagarre incredibile. Si sta infiammando anche il pubblico. I Sinkovic che cercano di incrementare la propria velocità per non far rientrare gli avversari. Grandissimo serrate per 5 imbarcazioni.
Another blanket finish there in semi-final 2 of the men's pairs. Unbelievable racing again in the last few hundred metres, winding up towards the line. The form that was there with the Croatians leading from the start. A familiar sight to see the Sinkovic brothers taking the win ahead of the Swiss crew who powered in to take second place there, coming from fourth through the halfway mark, timing it again really well in their last 500, getting in second place ahead of the Dutch crew. They're the third crew going through to the A final, and the Danish crew in fourth ahead of Sweden, and the Czechia back in a sixth position. So the three qualifying crews, Croatia, Switzerland and Netherlands, and that really tight finish, and Denmark, Sweden and Czechia into the B final. So next up, it is our last series of semi-finals. The next race is going to be the semi-final one of the men's double sculls, and we're going to head straight up the course to get the latest update.
Lovely, thank you, Richie. It was so far, it is the race of Rafael Ahumada and Kai Schatzler from Switzerland. They lead out the crew from Poland to their right with Domanski and Wozniak. That's the 1-2. Those two crews fairly securely established at the front of the field, but behind them it is Belgium and Italy also quite close to the front. So with just 3 places straight to the A final, it's still everyone's race. Great racing so far by Switzerland and Poland.
Grande gara Svizzera e Polonia che si stanno contendendo questi 2 primi posti. Ricordiamo gli atleti polacchi sono arrivati terzi all'europeo in 4 di coppia e ora si stanno destreggiando nel doppio per vedere appunto quanto questa coppia può andare veloce. Sarà una bella sfida anche per i nostri italiani Leonardo Tedoldi e Marco Prati, che hanno fatto un bellissimo serrato intimidendo la Polonia ieri, quindi siamo curiosi di vedere cosa possono fare anche oggi, ormai che mancano pochi metri alla chiusura di questa gara. Attenzione però anche al Belgio, all'Olanda e alla Cina.
So 350 meters to go. Switzerland still leading ahead of Poland, and the Belgian combination, the former lightweight Kolpaert and Vivet, third at the moment, but the charge is unfolding from the Dutch on the far side in lane number 1.
So all to play for, as we've seen in the previous races where the positions can change down into the last few strokes. Leading it out at the moment, it's still the Swiss crew ahead of Poland and Belgium. They're the 1, 2 and 3. Big question yet again, can the Netherlands, Italy and China get back into the mix?
Continua a mantenere la testa di questa prima semifinale del doppio maschile la formazione svizzera, tallonata dalla Polonia che rimane agganciata a meno di una lunghezza. Poi lì dietro vediamo il Belgio e bellissima l'azione degli azzurri che adesso sono in quarta posizione e cercano di incrementare al massimo la loro velocità per rientrare nelle prime 3 posizioni, quelle che valgono il passaggio alla finale, ma insiste invece la Polonia a non farsi superare, accelera anche il Belgio, rimane lì davanti la Svizzera per la prima posizione.
So again, really exciting finish there between the crews, but securing those top spots. Switzerland crossing the line ahead of Poland in second place, and Belgium, they're the 1, 2 and 3 advancing on to the A final. And it was a crew from Italy just pipped out in fourth position, who will head to the B final along with the crews from the Netherlands and the crews from the People's Republic of China. So really exciting race there to kick off the first semi-final of the men's double scull, and already underway is the second semi-final. So we're looking to find out who's going to join Switzerland, Poland and Belgium, and the best person to tell us how things are going for that is Tim.
Yeah, thank you, Richie. That race is still, well, just past 750 meters gone, and where we saw a clear domination from two crews in the previous semi-final, it's a bit more equally matched at the moment. Italy looking good in lane number 3, leading 40 strokes a minute. Love that. Right beside them, the Kiwis, New Zealand, also up at 40 strokes a minute. Slightly quicker, but just a canvas down. And of course, the crew from Australia with Reinhardt and McGuinness. That's the top 3 well established, but behind them, there's not much to choose between the Netherlands, USA, and the crew from Great Britain in lane number 6, about a length and a half down on the leading 3. The Italians, though, look to push on. They're still leading by about a canvas. Yeah, basically the Antipodean get-together between New Zealand and Australia. It's equally matched as they approach 1,000 meters.
Gabriel Soares e Nils Torre sono i pesi leggeri che stanno dando filo da torcere a molti dei senior nella specialità del doppio. Gabriel è vice campione olimpico nel doppio pesi leggeri e adesso è a capovoga di questo doppio senior. Hanno passato i 1000 in prima posizione, ma devono stare molto attenti sia all'Australia 1 che alla Nuova Zelanda, che sono a pochi centesimi di differenza da loro, e hanno tutti una velocità simile e anche lo stesso numero di colpi. Sono infatti tutti a 39 colpi al minuto. Fantastico vedere questo attacco tra un equipaggio e l'altro. Più attardati invece, che sono comunque vicini tra di loro, possiamo trovare invece l'Olanda 2, Gran Bretagna 1 e gli Stati Uniti d'America 1. Ci stiamo approcciando agli ultimi 800 metri di gara, dove bisogna resistere di testa, sia per la pressione dagli altri equipaggi, sia per le temperature che ci sono, e troviamo ancora in testa i nostri italiani, seguiti dall'Australia, poi dalla Nuova Zelanda, e invece ancora sempre mantenuti in posizione più attardate, forse stanno valutando cosa fare, l'Olanda 2, la Gran Bretagna e gli Stati Uniti.
600 meters left to go. The Netherlands, that development crew of Beer Florijn, Thijs Ruiken, going toe-to-toe with the Americans right beside them, and together with Great Britain. That is the back half of this semi-final. The front, though, it's incredible to see the former lightweights from Italy, Nils Torre, Gabriel Soares, still leading. Oh no, actually, New Zealand have pushed through. It is 6/100th of a second at 1500. The New Zealanders move into the lead, pulling with them the crew from Australia, McGuinness and Reinhardt with them. So New Zealand leading into the final quarter. Then it is Italy and Australia. So that's the top 3 at the moment. Richie, coming down, back to you.
Absolutely nothing separating these crews at the leading out the second semi-final. The men's double sculls are early leaders. The crew from Italy now back in second place. The New Zealand crew moving into the lead, but the Italian crew tussling with them for that lead, and they're matching each other at 40-41 strokes per minute, and their boat speeds are similar, so the lead is changing on the surge. All to play for with 3 to qualify. Australia looking good in third place at the moment, ahead of Great Britain, Netherlands and USA, and you have to think that those 3 crews are all within striking distance as well as they come down to the last 250.
E quando mancano meno di 200 metri sembra che l'obiettivo di giornata sia messo in cassaforte, quello di passare il turno e andare quindi in finale, ma Gabriel Soares e Nils Torre non vogliono lasciare nulla alla Nuova Zelanda, che cerca di mettere la sua prua davanti. È veramente una lotta serrata per la prima posizione, è un aspetto psicologico, perché il turno si passa, l'Australia ha ceduto, rimane in terza posizione, ma lì davanti gli azzurri non vogliono lasciare nulla agli avversari e quindi continuano con la loro azione incredibile a mantenere la prua avanti la Nuova Zelanda e passano in prima posizione.
Such a determined row from the Italians. See them taking the win just by a canvas ahead of New Zealand. They're the 1 and 2, and it was the crew from Australia coming in third. So they're the 3 advancing on to the A final. Really exciting finish there. The New Zealand crew leading into the last 500, but the Italians just finding that little bit extra on their home turf here to take the win. It's a 1-2-3 for Italy, New Zealand, Australia. Then it was the crew from Great Britain in fourth, ahead of United States, and Netherlands back in sixth to close out the crews going into the B final. Two more races to close out our morning programme, and it is the semi-finals for the men's fours. And straight away through 500 metres, we can see it's Australia leading out the Netherlands, New Zealand in third, Germany fourth, Czechia fifth, and Japan in sixth. And straight up as they come towards the 750 metre mark, we're going to check in with Tim.
Yes, and they are absolutely storming through the last few semi-finals here. The men's four, great to see the Australia 1 crew. They did so well in yesterday's heat, that crew stroked by Alexander Hill, and they are making this semi-final their own. They've already put a handsome lead into the rest of the field. They're leading by about 10 meters ahead of the crew from the Netherlands too, stroked by Rick Rings. And that's the two crews well established at the front of the race. Going with them, though, it is the crew from New Zealand, who are about a full length down on the Dutch crew. There's actually a slight overlap between the Kiwi bow and the Dutch stern. Then there's clear water down to Germany. That's the German crew, very recognizable in that green racing shell. And then we move across the lake to Czechia, who are still in fifth, Japan sixth at the moment. But I'm curious to see, perhaps the Dutch can put on a bit of a challenge to the Aussies. They'll certainly try in this third quarter, but the Australian crew looks really, really strong out in front, still leading and actually putting a few more meters into the Dutch.
Avvicinandosi agli ultimi 800 metri di gara, vediamo ancora il verde e l'oro a comandare questa prima semifinale del 4 senza maschile, con 37 colpi al minuto e la velocità maggiore tra tutti gli equipaggi. Stanno colpo dopo colpo cercando di assicurarsi questa prima posizione. Seguito poi invece dall'Olanda 2, che anche loro mantengono un buon numero di colpi al minuto, infatti ne hanno 39 e stanno mantenendo anche loro una buona velocità e stanno cercando di mettere pressione all'equipaggio australiano. Si parla di un 4 senza, quindi è facile cercare di prendere velocità e cercare di combattere l'equipaggio che si ha alle spalle oppure che si sta guardando davanti. Abbiamo invece in terza posizione appunto la Nuova Zelanda, seguita poi dalla Germania, dalla Repubblica Ceca, invece un po' più tardato il Giappone, che comunque è un equipaggio di nuove leve, quindi anche questo è un banco di prova per loro per migliorare.
So well into the last 500 meters of this race, the Aussies seem to be cruising to me at this stage. Still ahead of the Dutch. The Dutch up the rate, 40 strokes a minute, but a decent margin from the Aussies to the Dutch. The race to watch, though, is the one between New Zealand, who are still in third overall. Can the Germans produce a mighty sprint and overhaul the Kiwis? I'll leave the answer to that question to you, Richie.
Might be too much to do as they come in towards the run into the finish. An awful lot to get done in the small space of 250 metres. No doubt about the leaders, though. Greg Searle's pick, Australia leading it out with the Netherlands in second. Two of those crews were the fastest coming out of the heat, so it's going with form here. New Zealand holding on to third, with Germany in fourth place at the moment. Czechia and Japan bringing in fifth and sixth, but looking good for Australia.
Continua a mantenere un po' di luce davanti agli avversari. L'Australia cerca di mantenere la leadership con l'Olanda che mantiene la seconda posizione, ma la Nuova Zelanda deve fare attenzione al tentativo di rientro della Germania per la terza piazza, quella che vale l'accesso alla finale. Nuova Zelanda che riesce sul traguardo a fissare il terzo posto e quindi accedere alla finale.
A fantastic effort for the German crew to get back within half a length of the New Zealand crew, but not enough for them to secure that A final. The overall standings, it was Australia taking the win there, just by a length of boat ahead of Netherlands in second, putting on pressure on them all the way to the line. They were the 1 and 2, New Zealand in third, closing out the A final, and then the positions for 4th, 5th and 6th, Germany, Czechia and Japan, who will move on to the B final. And again, that closes out the first semi-final of the men's four. The second semi-final is just off of the start, and leading it out at the moment, it's the crew from Great Britain. So centre of the course, Great Britain leading it out ahead of the Netherlands 1 and USA. All the action in those three centre lanes at the moment. A little bit further back then to the crews from Italy and from China, and the second Italian crew as well. And once again, we're going to head straight up the course to get the latest update.
Well, Greg Searle will be pleased to see the crew from Great Britain leading this race. It's about a quarter of a length down to the Dutch, who have claimed second at the moment. Coming through the first timing mark, just 0.4 of a second down on GB. Then it's the United States of America with Hudgens in the stroke seat. They look really solid out in front, and the two Italian crews here are going to fight amongst themselves for that place in the A final. The People's Republic of China already 3 seconds down at 500, and I'll just take a peek out of the window to see where they're at. GB looking solid out in front. Nice long flowy rhythm there being set by Bozeman Jones there in the stroke seat. The Dutch keeping them very honest though in this second 500. The USA slipping back slightly compared to the Netherlands and GB at the moment. Just a few strokes before we pass halfway, and I have to say GB looks strong out in front. Mick Makker in the stroke seat of that crew from the Netherlands. He stroked the Olympic 8 in Paris, and he's providing his crew with a very nice flowy typical Dutch rhythm at the moment, and they are, well, 3/4 of a length up on the USA, and behind them a little bit of clear water with the two Italian crews, 4th and 5th at the moment. The People's Republic of China, then clear water down on the Italy 1 crew with 4 brothers in that crew. So great to see them racing here, but the race out in front, GB leading the Netherlands ahead of the USA.
Grande gara da parte della Gran Bretagna, che ha passato il primo 500 ad 1.25 e sta mantenendo costante la sua velocità per assicurarsi il primo posto nella finale A, ma ovviamente questo è tutto da vedere quando sentiremo suonare ai 2000 metri, e quindi fine della gara. Seguite però, devono infatti stare attenti all'equipaggio olandese, che è poco distante da loro, e sicuramente non vorranno farsi sfuggire un'ottima posizione per questa semifinale. Infatti sono solamente 7 metri dall'equipaggio, quindi vedono assolutamente le loro schiene molto vicine, palata per palata devono assolutamente combattere fino alla fine. Troviamo invece in terza posizione l'equipaggio statunitense, il cui capovoga è Hudgens, che sta cercando, aumentando sempre di più i colpi, di assicurarsi un posto nella finale A. Un po' più attardati vediamo i due equipaggi italiani che sono rispettivamente a 40 e 41 colpi, quindi fantastico vedere che la tradizione italiana dei colpi alti si mantiene. Non vogliono regalare nulla, perché la gara non è finita fin quando non si passa il traguardo. E invece un po' più attardato troviamo anche la Cina.
Dutch upping the rate slightly, and Mick Makker taking his crew to 40 strokes a minute, and they are getting closer to that GB bow ball. Richie, can they overhaul the Brits in the final sprint? GB still leading though, ahead of the Netherlands, USA, and then the two Italian crews ahead of China.
Great to see the Dutch crew putting pressure on GB in the run into the finish, even though these two crews looking well secure for the two qualifying spots into the A final, taking with them the United States. And it's a bit of a tale of two races. They've opened up clear water, then back to the Italian crews, and it's actually the Chinese crew breaking up the monopoly of the bottom three, with Italy now in 4th, China in 5th, and the second Italian crew in 6th. But the race is on for the final here and the Dutch have actually passed out GB. GB just taking it right the way down, coming into the line. They've powered off, and it's Netherlands all the way to the line.
È riuscita l'azione dell'Olanda che li ha visti superare negli ultimi 200 metri la formazione inglese che fino a quel momento è stata il leader di questa seconda semifinale del 4 senza, quindi prima Olanda sul traguardo, seconda Gran Bretagna e terza la formazione americana, poi le due formazioni italiane azzurre con la Cina in mezzo.
It's another really exciting finish there with the Netherlands just pipping Great Britain. They took the gear off there coming in, taking the rate down right to 33 degrees. So 33 strokes per minute in the 33 degrees we have out on the water. Some tough racing conditions there, but it was the Netherlands just getting the better of Great Britain. Those two advancing on to the A final along with the United States, the 1, 2 and 3. Italy won back in 4th, Italy 2 5th, and the People's Republic of China in 6th, closing out, and those three crews going on to the B final. So there we go. That's this morning's session closed out. Some fantastic racing there, all the way from the D finals, C finals, B finals, and those blasts of semi-finals that we had there to find who are going to race in the A finals tomorrow. A really exciting day of racing we've put down so far. Short break with a little bit of a change to the programme due to the weather tomorrow. We're bringing in the finals, the PR2 men's and women's single sculls at 2:45 to kick things off before we close out with semi-finals and then into another series of finals and the all-important new event, the test race in the mixed state, closing out our afternoon schedule. So get some water, get some Factor 50 back on, take a little bit of a break, and we'll see you back here to kick off with the finals of the men's and women's PR2 singles.
E con questa seconda semifinale del 4 senza maschile si è concluso il programma mattutino. Abbiamo avuto il piacere di gustare, di vedere delle gare molto molto belle. Adesso un piccolo break, poi alle 14:45 riprendiamo iniziando con la finale A del singolo femminile categoria PR2 e poi a seguire il singolo maschile sempre della categoria PR2. Quindi le due semifinali del singolo femminile e poi il singolo maschile, poi di nuovo finale A per il 4 con misto PR3, il doppio misto PR3, poi la finale A per il singolo femminile pesi leggeri, il singolo maschile pesi leggeri, di nuovo nell'ambito delle gare paralimpiche la finale del doppio misto PR2, il 2 senza PR3 e a completare il nutrito programma della giornata sarà il test race per l'8 misto, novità assoluta per la prima volta qui alla Coppa del Mondo di Varese.